Welcome to the Pride of Detroit podcast, the POD cast as we call it because, brother, that stands for Pride of Detroit podcast. My name is Macho Man Randy Savage. You have tuned in to Lions Talk. We're going to talk GM. We're going to talk coach. And you better believe we're going to talk at Dodds. Oh, yeah, brother. So welcome to the show. It's going to be a good one. Oh, yeah.
Ryan, I feel like I should just record that and just do that every time. I don't think he's already taking off the costume because he literally can't stand it. He was complaining the entire time, but he wants. I think that's how we start every show now. I really do.
There's no going back. There's no going back.
The Rubicon has been crossed.
Once you
Aliacta est.
Once you snap a Slim Jim, you cannot unsnap it.
Oh, you better believe I'm going to snap into this one right here, brother.
Oh my God, he's got a Slim Jim too.
He's got props.
Wow. That probably tastes horrible. That tastes like gasoline.
Absolutely not.
Wow. Welcome to the Pride of Detroit POD cast. I am Chris Perfett, the adequate host, and that's Macho Man Randy Savage, a.k.a. Jeremy Reisman.
You better believe it.
Slim Jim. Actually, that's it. No longer fearless leader. Jeremy is now Slim Jim.
No fear in me, brother. I'm doing a little. I'm mixing this in with a little Hulk Hogan. I'm sorry.
They're all the same. I hate to say it. I hate to trample on someone's childhood. They're all the same. Ryan Matthews is also here. At Ryan_POD. Ryan is barely holding it together.
I'm useless right now. I'm absolutely useless.
You're adequate.
Bravo to Jeremy for doing this 110%.
Should I keep going?
I would prefer not to.
Should we also explain to the people on the podcast who are very confused right now? Okay,
real quick, because I feel like we need to get to what people have come here for, which is coach news, and Ed Dodds and some others. And we're also going to laugh at the Bears in a little bit too. But Jeremy, please, you were. So from what I understand, our Movember thing just carried on for months and months.
Sort of,
yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it started in Movember, but then we decided to throw a New Year's Eve bash, karaoke style per usual, and I just kind of threw it together, and I said, hey, if we can raise $1,000 on New Year's Eve alone, I will do a cosplay of your choosing. And people were able to use their donations to vote between this, which is Macho Man Randy Savage. So if you're listening on the podcast, you might want to go into YouTube or Twitch and see a replay of this just to see what I look like. It was this, Austin Powers, Ron Burgundy, or Hulk Hogan, and everyone chose this one. We actually raised $4,000, so I had to commit, and so I committed as much as I can. And Zazu is also going crazy because he doesn't know what's happening right now.
Yeah, he sees like the what are those things, the bangles, and he sees those as a toy.
Yes.
I'm glad you did this and not Austin Powers, though. I'm just going to say that. I would have gotten uncomfortable.
I'm very glad.
We would have gotten banned off Twitch.
He's probably highly motivated with that Slim Jim. If you want to just break that into pieces and throw it, I'm sure that'll keep him busy for.
Yeah. He probably smells that.
He absolutely does.
For sure. Blood's in the water.
All right. You can have the Slim Jim.
Blood is in the water.
Oh yeah. You can't avoid the taste, brother.
Blood is in the water, just like the NFL coaching carousel. Hey, see what I did there, Ryan?
Beautiful.
You are no longer adequate, my friend.
Thank you. Well, I might be adequate considering all the people screaming at me. So real quick, before let's lead off. We're going to talk Saleh and Bevell in a second, but I think I want to start by reacting a little bit to what I've seen from fans when the name Marvin Lewis has come out and how everyone seems to be in a tizzy about between Lewis and Saleh and whether or not whose interview has gone well and who hasn't. And let's just say this, Jeremy. People are riled up. People are gassed up. We dropped a podcast over the weekend with Joe Goodberry from the Athletic Cincinnati. Funny enough, while I was at work, I've talked with two Cincinnati guys, TJ Hushmanzada and Andy Furman, who does like Cincinnati Enquirer and a bunch of other stuff. And Andy, of course, has told me that he wrote a letter to Sheila Ford-Hamp begging them to hire Marvin Lewis, which, that might just be a random radio guy, but Andy has like crazy good connections. It's weird. But either way, the Lewis news dividing fans all across the board because I think while some people see a coach who brought Cincinnati to relevance, a lot of people just see 0-7 in the playoffs and decide that that's not good enough. And I get it. I think, we've had a whole circle of just really cool, sexy new offensive coordinators, and out comes Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, and I mean, I get the inclination to just hear that name and have a natural negative reaction because, I mean, yeah, the 0-7 stuff was bad, and I feel like people in Cincy were calling for his job for 5 or 6 years by the time it actually happened. But
yeah, once you get to a plateau, fans get antsy and want the next thing.
Right, and I mean, that's where we were with Jim Caldwell, and I think that's a natural connection people are making, whether it's fair or not. This is another Jim Caldwell hire, and I'm kind of with them at least a little bit. It's certainly not an exciting hire, and to be clear, like, they don't have to hire someone exciting. That they have to just hire the right person. But at the same time, like, I don't know if I want a guy that was at his peak 15 years ago. I want a guy that maybe is hitting his peak now, or maybe a little more in tune in today's NFL. The way I view it is it's like a B hire. I think he's a solid coach. I think he's better than a lot of people are giving him credit for. I think he's a guy that could probably bring this team to playoff every other year, maybe even get a streak of 4 or 5 years in the playoffs. And yeah, everyone right now would take that. But at the same time, like, I don't want a step to the next good coach. I want the next good coach. I don't want stabilization before we go out and get the next guy, because guess what happened? That's what we did with Jim Caldwell. We stabilized as a solid franchise that was starting to get respect, and then we're like, okay, let's go get the next guy. That doesn't necessarily work. Just go out and get the next guy.
Ryan, your thoughts? You weren't on the podcast, so I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on Marvin Lewis.
I'm a lot warmer on Marvin Lewis than I think the average fan. And you've already kind of laid out the reasons as to why so many fans are wary of Marvin Lewis as a hire, but I'm pretty much with Jeremy in terms of, if I were to grade a Marvin Lewis hire, I think it would be in that B range. But I'd be interested to hear both of your guys' takes on this. I think what would be more important in a Marvin Lewis hire is who he decides to bring with him to Detroit to be an offensive coordinator, to be a defensive coordinator, because I think what's most important, and Jeremy alluded to this, and I want to fully flesh it out from my understanding and from my perspective, but Marvin Lewis might be the right guy to lead the Lions into the next chapter of their organization's kind of rebuild. But at the same time, I think that what is most important is getting the right kind of guys so that you don't have a guy who necessarily peaked 15 years ago. Because I think what will really prop him up is the right offensive coordinator, the right defensive coordinator, and again, a franchise quarterback. That's something that Marvin Lewis had for a brief moment in Cincinnati. He had Carson Palmer, and then his ACL was obliterated, and then he was just stuck in mediocrity. I think you look around the league and you see that with tons of teams. So, which I guess let me get both of your guys' takes on that with Marvin Lewis and getting the right hires in terms of a staff that he builds.
Yeah, well, first off, I want to respond real quick to the quarterback thing, because at first, I'm going to be honest, as soon as you said franchise quarterback, I didn't think Carson Palmer. I thought Andy Dalton. But I think that speaks more to, no, hold up. Yeah. Andy Dalton's Andy Dalton now, but they got a lot out of him in Cincinnati with the right offensive support. And I think that's fair. One of the notes I have about his offensive coordinators is that they were awesome in Cincinnati. God, go back and watch that 2015 team, Cincinnati Bengals team. That was a massively effective, I think, second overall in offensive DVOA that year, but massively effective, high-flying offense that they had. It wasn't just A.J. Green. They had a lot of weapons. They had a lot of options, and the system worked. And they made it work with, again, Andy Dalton. However, those offensive coordinators never really went anywhere else and succeeded. Now, granted, a lot of them also went to really bad places. Jay Gruden went to Washington. Hugh Jackson went to Cleveland, and we saw how that worked out. Bill Lazor has never really matriculated into much of anything in any of these places he's gone to, but when they are in Cincinnati, they make it work.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if the fact that his offensive coordinators can't go away from him and succeed and fail to succeed, if that says something good or bad about Marvin Lewis. It's kind of like watching Belichick disciples leave the nest and immediately crash face first into the ground. Go
I
on,
was just
Jeremy.
going to say, I think it's important that we bring up the conversation we had with Joe Goodberry. And if you haven't listened to that podcast, go back and listen to it, because he said that was the one thing Marvin Lewis was really, really good at, was building a staff. They never had to worry about them fumbling that. And you mentioned it. Jay Gruden was really good there. Hugh Jackson was there. Mike Zimmer on the defensive side of the ball.
Mike
Zimmer, he brought him into this league essentially. And so I think if your main concern with the head coaching hire is who they will bring in, I think Marvin Lewis might be one of the best candidates you could bring in.
I want to tie this up at some point, so I'll let Ryan get through it again. I hope this is answering his question. I just think that, back to Jeremy's point, I don't see the ceiling on Lewis as low as some other people. Like, he was unlucky in the playoffs, but guess what? You get to the playoffs, it's a crapshoot. 0-7, that's a lot of dice rolling against you. I get it, but like, man, I just look at, like, if you're worried about the playoffs, the first thing you should do is be winning enough to get to the playoffs, and the Lions aren't doing that consecutively enough. So I'd rather get the guy who can win. And, like, I don't know. I spoke with at least one former Bengal off to the side here in Los Angeles, and they cannot speak highly enough of Marvin Lewis. And I get it. There was problems in that locker room. There was problems dealing with their rivals in the AFC North, which is a bloody, bloody rival division, probably the worst one out there, just because you had three long-standing coaching staffs that imbued their guys with that rivalry between the Ravens with Harbaugh, the Steelers, and the Bengals. They were just all stuck around. Like, that's how you build rivalries. Guys have to stick around for a long time, and rosters are very much more free agency oriented now. So I don't know. I understand. My concern, of course, is probably the same as yours, is that Marvin Lewis is probably, maybe some of his schemes might be stuck in the past. I don't know, but I'm more favorable of it than anything. Again, if you want a guy who can probably lead the team, that's cool. Ryan, I'll let you close up here, and then we should probably move on to Saleh and Bevell, because I know fans are really interested in that.
Yeah, the one last thing that I think I'll leave off with is, if the Lions are going to overcorrect in any way, I think that an overcorrection to Marvin Lewis would be the best overcorrection to a fault that they could make. I mean, that's the hire that gets you the furthest away from Matt Patricia, but I think in the best way possible. And it's going to take a while to mend those fences and to rebuild those relationships with players. And I think Marvin Lewis goes a long way towards rebuilding that. I'm with Jeremy that in the same sense, though, that you want to get the guy. You don't want to have to spend that time bridging the gap between, all right, let's get back to a level of respectability, and then we'll find another guy who will take us to the next level. I don't know. I'm there, but at the same time, I think that the league moves at such a frenetic pace, and it is so unforgiving that it'll take the next hot guy, which Matt Patricia was. It'll chew him up and it'll spit him right out, and it'll show you that you just ate a Slim Jim, brother.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I noticed when talking with a lot of people, is like they see Lewis's record as like, I don't want a loser. Well, I mean, I don't want a guy who hasn't won the playoffs. Well, all these new guys, all these offensive coordinators, they haven't won yet in the playoffs either. Like, and I know people are really high up on the next cool big thing, but bear in mind, the next cool big thing might be Sean McVay, or it might be Adam Gase, or it might be Jake Gruden, or it might be Hugh Jackson, or it might be Matt Patricia. Like, you're rolling. It's the I'll do the Family Guy thing, because I know Jeremy likes that. It's like, it could be in the mystery box. It could be a boat.
I don't know what you're talking about, brother. That show is trash.
All right, let's move on. I do want to talk about Saleh and Bevell, and there is a thread tying it together with the news. And I think we should start on Ed Dodds before we get into that news on Saleh. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off on Ed Dodds, because I know he's like the big news of the day, Jeremy.
Yeah. So Dave Burkett dropped, I think, a bomb that he is going to interview with the Lions tomorrow. We're recording this on Monday, so he's interviewing on Tuesday with the team. current assistant general manager of the Colts.
As you are listening to it, you will listening to this pod, he will be interviewing.
Yes, exact same time as you're listening right now, guaranteed. Doesn't matter when you're listening to it. He's interviewing at that time.
This is Schrodinger's podcast.
But he's a guy that a lot of people had on their top candidate list due to the fact that the Colts have really built themselves an impressive franchise. I know they don't have a lot in terms of postseason wins at this point, especially after losing this weekend. But a lot of people respect the staff that they've brought in there. A lot of people think that they've been drafting extremely well. And then you go back to his days in Seattle where he rose up the ranks pretty quickly there in 10 years from, he started on the pro personnel side, went to the college personnel side, eventually became one of the higher ups there in that impressive Seahawks front office. So he's a high riser. And I think one that has a real chance at the job. And I think maybe some of the more interesting things about the news is that this is a guy who's very picky. He's been at the top of general manager lists for years. He was in competition for the Browns job last year, and he backed out. He was in competition for, what was it, the Jaguars job? Or I can't remember. He backed out of one already this year. And so it's interesting that he chose to accept an interview from the Lions, and which I think this will help bridge the discussion if you want to already get into it. The dude already has ties to Robert Saleh. Dude already has ties to Darrell Bevell, two guys who I think we can all kind of consider at this point as front runners for the Lions head coach job. And the most interesting thing about it is the fact that you go back to last year when he turned down that job with the Browns. Well, he turned it down as soon as they hired Kevin Stefanski as their head coach. You know who else was a top candidate over there? Robert Saleh. And so there's this view that those two are linked together. And so if Dodds is coming in, it's leading some to speculate that maybe Robert Saleh is one of the top candidates, or maybe Saleh, has a job. He's like, you got to interview Dodds. Like, I'm not coming unless you get Dodds, or maybe it's vice versa, or whatever. But the fact that those two have been linked in the past, and the fact that he all of a sudden took this interview seems significant, to say the least.
Yeah, and I think there's been mixed reports on Saleh right now, which I don't want to get too much into. Let's just put it out there. People are trying to drag us into the drama a little bit on this, because one beat reporter said the Saleh interview did not go well in Detroit, and another source, Aaron Wilson, who has 20 years of beat writing experience, versus another source that I've heard some other people, include, I think Dave Burkett actually put this out too, is that the Saleh interview went well. Okay, so who do you believe there? And the problem is when you get conflicting reports with that, someone or both sides are probably have some sort of agency to try to chum the waters a little bit. This is it's like free agency period, right? This is the season of lies out there. And for fans, it's then just a matter of, well, what do you want to believe, right? It's not who do you believe, it's what do you want to believe. And I don't know, man. I think Saleh interview could go well, could have gone bad. I don't know. And ultimately, I like dealing with facts rather than speculation. But I think as you say, the Ed Dodd news is probably something that's I don't know how the Saleh interview went, but if they're pursuing Ed Dodds, either that might have been something where during the interview, he's like, this is cool, but you would have to get me Ed Dodds. Or B, they see that connection with Ed Dodds you talk about and are trying to use that to entice him to make his final decision in Detroit with that. I hate to use the analogy, but when Kawhi Leonard went to the Clippers and he's like, I want Paul George, kind of the same deal. Although granted, we hope that this would have better results than Paul George, Ryan.
Yeah. Playoff P, RIP. I think with this bit of news, I think what's most important, Chris, to kind of put a bow on what you're saying is care less about what the conflicting reports are. I couldn't care less what Aaron Wilson reports versus what Dave Burkett reports, because obviously there's conflicting reports there, but let's connect the dots on our own. Or should I say, let's connect the Dodds.
Oh, yeah.
The Dodds.
Oh, yeah.
Pepe Silva here.
And I think that there's teeth to that. I think that there's absolutely some sort of connection. And I think what's most revealing about this is what Jeremy mentioned at the top. And it was actually the Panthers that Dodds,
that's right.
That Dodds decided to not interview for. Is that the Lions' job for general manager is a lot more attractive than I think the perception is around Twitter and around the league. Like, I think that a lot of people kind of poo-pooed on the Lions general manager position and even the head coach position to say that it isn't very attractive, when in fact you have people like Ed Dodds, who has been extremely selective about who he chooses to interview for, interviewing for the job. And the Lions have pretty much interviewed everybody that they've wanted to interview. I have not heard of one potential candidate not interview for the job, which I think speaks volumes to two things. One, as I already mentioned, the attractiveness of the opportunity and the job, and two, the leadership in the Lions right now. And I think that they're doing the right thing and casting such a wide net and interviewing every potential candidate that they could see as an improvement. And not even just Ed Dodds, but Jeremy, our conversation that we had with Arif Hassan, George Payton is a guy who's extremely picky and extremely selective about who he interviews for too. And Lions already interviewed him as well. So they
had a leg up there, to be fair, though, with Chris Spielman.
Yeah. I do want to measure up, because you mentioned what are the most attractive there. And you look around there and it's like, I know some people say, oh, Texans might be interesting, but no, I think with the rapidly souring relation with Deshaun Watson and no first round draft pick, that's bottom of the pile.
That's because they decided to get in bed with a general manager before consulting Deshaun Watson.
With him,
after telling him they would consult him.
Yeah. Jacksonville, I think they need to still figure out their general manager situation as well.
Their owner's meddling as well.
Well, I think I'll push back on meddling, just because this might be the good meddling, in that when Tom Coughlin was there, he was judge, jury, and executioner, and I think Khan just wants a little bit of a stopgap there, but still, it's an owner meddling. I get it. And now, we'll talk about this, I think, on the other side too. The Eagles coaching job is open. I think the Panthers need a general manager. Panthers are probably the one that could be interesting above the Lions, but that depends on which way you see them going with Matt Rule and no real quarterback besides Teddy Bridgewater. And the Falcons, I'm sorry, they're in cap hell.
Right.
So
I do want to bring up one last point on Dodds before we get out of here, because I feel like we're probably pushing up against.
I'm gonna put Saleh and Bevell on the other side of this, plus some fun for you guys.
With the Saleh and Dodds thing, it's a little bit interesting to me, because and this is me a little bit playing devil's advocate, because it feels like the Lions made it a priority this time to not go with package deals. We heard them talk about it all the time, like they just want to get the right people. They don't necessarily need to be connected. We know what happened last time they got a package deal with Patricia and Bob Quinn, and it didn't go well. And so they've talked about, like, we'll hire a head coach first if we feel like that's our guy. And they talk about, yes, there needs to be communication, but it seems like everything that Rod Wood has said, everything Sheila Ford Hamp has said is like, we just want someone who can work together with anybody. And so if Robert Saleh or Ed Dodds is pulling the strings for the other one, I don't know what I feel about that. That seems like maybe that's not going in the direction that they want. Like, they don't want a package deal necessarily. They want a GM who can work with any head coach, or they want a head coach that can work with any GM. So I understand the importance of synchronicity there, of getting people in line that think similarly, that can, that have a similar vision, and all that is important, sure. But it does seem to maybe potentially be going against what this team set out to do. And again, I want to be clear, Dodds Saleh is as close to as a home run as I think they can personally hit, but it does seem like it runs against what they maybe, the tenets of the search that they said from the outright.
Right. But we'll see what happens. Again, this is all a lot of damn speculation, and it's a lot of court intrigue that gets, this time of year is exciting for a lot of people, but it's also just, you can get led in a lot of wrong directions. Like, again, someone's lying about the Robert Saleh interview. Or maybe one side thought it went well, the other didn't, but that just shows you there are multiple truths out there. And for the fan, you can mold whatever reality you want. Let's take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to let Jeremy get a chance to take off the makeup and finish the Slim Jim during the break here. And then we're on the other side. I want to talk about Darrell Bevell. We're going to talk about a couple other notes from the week, and we got to take some time to talk about what just happened in the playoffs from an NFC North Schadenfreude situation. Just 2 minutes. I want 2 minutes on this. I haven't had a chance to enjoy this yet. So we'll be right back on the Pride of Detroit PODcast. We're talking Darrell Bevell and some more about the GM and coach search. Okay, Jeremy, I know you want that. Get that off.
Oh no, I don't know. I'll keep some. I'm definitely
Christ.
taking the glasses off because that's ridiculous.
No, the
Maybe, yeah, I'll take
chat
the beard
wants
off,
you
too.
to strip.
The beard is coming off too.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Really quick, we got a super chat from YouTube, which we almost never get, from Detroit Lions Talk with Micro Mike. He says he donated $2. Says hire Macho Man. Macho Man is head coach. Oh yeah, brother. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
If they don't let me into the building, I'm gonna break open those doors with my bare hands. Shut up, Ryan. Have fun. And then we also got a tier 1 subscription from Caleb 150. Appreciate that on Twitch. Thank y'all. Lefty Detroit says,
yeah, I'm sorry. I know this is a general NFL thing. Again, like I really do think the reason Khan wants personnel control, it's not because he's like a Snyder figure here. It's that, like, come on, Tom Coughlin ran that place with like an iron-fisted dictator, like. And that was bad. He kind of checked out on Coughlin, just ran everyone out. Cream of the crop vid. Have you seen the cream of the crop vid, Jeremy?
I don't know what that means.
The Macho Man, cream of the crop. Cream of the crop.
Oh yeah,
to the top.
Yes, I was literally looking through promos just to see if I could get any semblance of a impression down, and I have no idea.
I think the
how
bandana should
yeah,
stay.
like
I'm not gonna lie.
The
bandana should probably stay.
I feel
probably
like
work with your normal hair too.
Yeah, I thought about not doing the wig. The wig is weird. Lefty Detroit says, I like the sound of Dodds Saleh, but I wouldn't be too upset with Lewis. Like I said above, why trim from someone else's tree? Why not just get a tree?
Yeah, listen, I just don't think anyone should declare like something is bad or, good or, this is a failure right out of the gate, man. Like, I don't know. I know that's like the trendy thing. We need the instant reaction now, but I mean, people fell in love with Patricia.
And I don't want to get too like mixed up in the tree stuff too, because like everyone comes from a tree. Like everyone has an influence. Everyone has someone who they probably view as a mentor in the NFL, and so just because someone comes from Kyle Shanahan doesn't mean he's from the Kyle Shanahan tree and he's going to do all things the same way Kyle Shanahan did, or Mike Zimmer, or whatever.
Well, I think we also talked about this not on a pod, but like between segments too, like. The number of trees is getting increasingly smaller. Like your guys are like nearly everyone has a Patriots connection now. That's not to say they're all coming from the Patriots tree, but at some point, because there's only X number of jobs in the NFL and a lot of guys are just getting recycled and staff is starting to move around a lot faster as well as players, that at some point, one of these guys is going to take, like any guy you look at is probably going to take a cup of coffee in Foxborough.
Right. True.
So, like, I think that idea of tree is kind of like losing some luster. Exactly. Yeah.
Did you redeem? Oh, you did redeem a list cast.
Did someone redeem a list cast?
Yep. How Am I Not Myself wants to rank the top GM spots.
Whew. Okay. Let me look those up again.
Yeah, I'll pull them for you. So
I think it's Falcons, Panthers, Lions, Texans, and Jags, and Washington.
Texans already have a GM.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. This list I'm looking at is 7 days old. So Washington, Jacksonville, Detroit, Carolina, and Atlanta.
The Jets hire somebody?
No. Jets would be on the board as well then. I'm assuming, is the GM still in with Philadelphia? It was just Pederson who was fired.
Wait, I don't know if the Jets fired their GM. I don't think they did.
They didn't?
No. Joe Douglas is still their GM. So you've got 6: Panthers, Lions, Falcons, Broncos, Jaguars, Washington.
Oh, I forgot about the Broncos too. Yeah.
Panthers, Lions, Falcons, Broncos, Jaguars, Washington.
So I think, well, Atlanta, again, we talked about that. That's cap hell. Carolina feels like a wild card. Just because I feel like they didn't perform well, but you saw flashes in what they had with Rule kind of coming out of the gate. But they are going to need a quarterback. Unless you really want to unless Ryan wants to really ride or die for Teddy here.
I mean, you know that I won't not do that.
So they're picking 8th right behind Detroit. And I have to look at their cap situation.
We don't need to do an hour's worth of research on this.
No. I'm just thinking about it right now. I just want to pull up for a quick reference. I still think the best job available is Jaguars. Just because you're picking one overall, you might get Urban Meyer, and all you got to do, like, Khan seems serious, but
I mean, he said he wants personnel control. Like, he
wants final say on personnel. He just wants to at least like see it go across his desk and sign off on it to make sure that a Tom Coughlin freak isn't trading away the franchise quarterback a year afterwards just because he's pissed off at him.
But if he's willing to admit that publicly, wow, all the GMs are listening. All GMs got their ear to the ground.
That's
He's willing
true.
to say
Yeah.
that. Like, how much more control is he actually going to take?
Again, I just
That's
think
a
it's
big
because
red
of
flag.
Coughlin. What Coughlin did. Coughlin did a number on this organization.
That's still something to be concerned with.
Yeah. Denver. What do you guys feel about Denver? I mean, now Elway's out of the way. That's an interesting destination, but
It's a storied franchise, but I mean, I don't. Here's the thing: like, there's so many personal things that I think come into play when you're accepting a job. In terms of where your family is going to live, if you've got family there, whether you want complete control or a quarterback. Like, I don't know. That makes it so hard for me to personally judge because I don't have those personal stakes. I'm trying to project those onto someone else. So I'm going to just read these off the cuff and in my whatever feels. I'm not even going to go into it because if I did, we'd spend 45 minutes on a break.
yeah, I've almost got my 6 lined up in order. So if by all means, if you guys have them, go right ahead, and I'll give mine.
Panthers, Falcons, Lions, Broncos, Jaguars, Washington.
Is that ascending or descending?
Top. The first one was top. Panthers are number 1.
Panthers are number 1 for you? Okay.
Lions, Broncos, Jaguars, Washington or Jaguars. Those two are interchangeable because ownership's horrible.
Ryan?
I'm just putting these in order real quick. Okay, I got them.
Okay, go ahead.
Jags 1, Lions 2, Washington 3, Broncos 4, Panthers 5, Falcons 6.
I think for me, it's Jags 1. And then tied at 2 is probably Carolina and Detroit. And then not far behind that is Denver. And then Atlanta, then Washington.
Washington last, really. That's interesting.
Ownership.
I mean, you're ownership, not just ownership, but they're going to be picking 19th. You just jettison, like, Dwayne Haskins is completely fucking gone.
That's a good thing.
No, that is a good thing, but I'm sorry, you're not going to be winning long term with Alex Smith. There was already reports like his leg was giving out because no one expected him to play too much on that reconstituted leg. So I don't know who you're going to do for the quarterback there. It's going to be at least a couple of years, and you have a notoriously picky owner. Good defense to start, but there's a lot that's going to need to be rebuilt.
Great defense of any of those teams you just listed. Washington by far and away has the best defense of any of those teams.
Yeah. I mean, I could see myself bumping up Washington, bumping down Atlanta. I just think Atlanta is probably has the better organizational culture.
Probably.
But
that might be true.
The cap hell is just going to kill them.
And
not
the
going to be able to do much.
And the personnel just seems like it's like on the way out the door. Like, I mean, Matt Ryan, old. Julio Jones, always dealing with a hamstring problem. I mean, their defense isn't in very good shape either. I mean, they just got rid of Tack McKinley. They cut him last season because of,
they are picking fourth. They are picking fourth though. So I mean, like, if you identify a quarterback, like, that could very easily sit behind Matt Ryan for a year and actually get some development on that quarterback.
I mean,
but again, the cap hell situation.
Yeah, at 4 though, you don't really get to choose your guy. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
true. Yeah.
I mean, Lawrence and Fields are both off the board, then all of a sudden it's like, do you love Zach Wilson? If he's your guy,
Do you
cool.
really
Then
think
you're
Fields is
good
going to be
shape.
the number 2? I can't. I
think so. I think
trust
so.
an Ohio State quarterback, man.
Can you
Anyway, we
trust
should-
an Ohio State cornerback?
cornerback?
How dare you?
You better not be talking about Jeff Okuda.
Can't wait to watch the national championship game. Oh,
Speaking of that, yeah, we should probably get moving so we
Really-
can let people go
really-
and watch that tonight.
Yeah, really quick though. Nick the Greek, thank you for the 9 months we got a Twitch baby. What are we going to name it, Nick? Actually, I don't want to answer that question because I'm afraid of what your answer might be. And then MT Readers on YouTube is asking, what is the deal with this? I dressed
We're
up
paying
as,
off bets.
Yes.
We're paying
No.
off bets.
This is a reward for our community for raising $4,000 on New Year's Eve for Feeding America, which funds food banks around the country. We ran a charity stream on New Year's Eve, and if we hit $1,000, I was going to do this, and people could vote on what costume I'd pick. They ended up picking Macho Man Randy Savage, so you get this. And since I spent a decent amount of money on this costume, I'm pretty sure I'm also going to make it a channel points reward at some point. Although it's going to be very high because it takes a while to get into costume here. So, yeah. And thank you for the 100 bits, Uncle Indigo. By the way, missed that almost. Now I'm ready to go.
All right. Yep. All right. So we're gonna again just quick show notes since you guys get the inside scoop on us doing prep work here. We're gonna go to start with Darrell Bevell. I think do you guys feel we talked enough Saleh before we go into this next segment? Do we need to rebound?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Let's talk some Saleh Bevell because I don't think we've talked at all about Bevell as a coach. Like we've maybe mentioned in his passing, but we were all just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Customary
but, I mean,
interview. Yeah.
Yeah, this seems more than customary at this point. So we'll talk that, and then we should talk more Ed Dodds because I feel. Well, did we talk enough Ed Dodds?
I don't really know what else to talk about there. I think
yeah, that's true. Then we'll recap some stuff, and then see where we're at on time for that, and then we can figure out what we're doing for segment 3. Okay. And Arthur Smith. I'm just highlighting a couple things here.
Thanks for the 12 bits, Nick.
Welcome back to the Pride of Detroit POD cast, or I'm sorry, Jeremy.
The BOD cast, we call it now, dude. Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So let's. So we left off talking about Robinson, and we said that the tying thread to him was Ed Dodds, which the Lions interviewed this week. But there's another tying thread to another coaching candidate for the Lions, and that is Darrell Bevell. And I think we've talked before in the past about Darrell Bevell, kind of as in passing. We said that, he did a decent enough job. He's going to get a customary look. You do that to your interim head coach in general. But from what I'm leading to believe from what I've been reading and some of my own sources is that the Bevell interview is more than customary at this point. And in fact, he's actually generating interest from other teams as well. So Jeremy, I don't know. I feel like we've kind of passed over Bevell every time because as much as I thought he led this team well, I never held up his offense as highly as some other fans did. It was a decent offense, but I think you could also do a lot better than Bevell. But I am curious because a lot of the news about it is, I think earlier we talked about fans reacting to Marvin Lewis as, oh, this would be a hire you make on your way to another hire.
Right.
I don't know if I feel that about Lewis, but I definitely feel that about Bevell.
Yeah, it's tricky. Let's kind of just reset in case people don't know the latest news. So Dave Burkett has mostly been the source on this one, saying that his interview actually went better than Saleh's. He's really been kind of hammering it home for over a week now, saying he's a legitimate candidate here. The Lions really like him. The interview went really well. If you listen to Rod Wood's press conference last week, he started off before any question saying first off, I want to give kudos to the job that Darrell Bevell did. He did a heck of a job uniting the team. The team loves him. I was listening to Jamal Agnew speak today, and he was saying like things were so much. He was just very clear about like things were so much fun after he took over. And so I think this is the kind of, and the Lions are looking for a leader first. We said it last podcast, like they're looking for a leader first and schematic second. And so Darrell Bevell kind of fits everything that they're looking for now that, he's had a little interim head coach under him. Like he's got the experience now too. And so it's not a perfect situation. It's not a situation that's going to get many people excited in Detroit. My personal thoughts on it are meh. I do think there's something, I think his offensive game planning was better than maybe it looked because it was so hamstrung under Matt Patricia. I mean, we did see them air it out a lot more once he was gone. Matthew Stafford became a completely different looking quarterback in the final 5 games of the season. It's a small sample size, and so you probably can't draw too many conclusions from that, but you mix that in with how good Matthew Stafford looked last year under Darrell Bevell, and it's just like, well, maybe that could work. The question again, though, is like, what kind of staff is he bringing in? And that's a crucial question that I don't know if I have a lot of answers to, because he has spent most of his career. I was going to say he spent most of his career in one place. That's not necessarily true. He's with Minnesota, he's with Seattle, he's with Detroit, and so he's made some connections there. But overall, I just think I don't know how confident I am in him bringing in a big, interesting, innovative staff as much as I would with Robert Saleh necessarily, because Saleh, he's working with the Kyle Shanahan tree on offense. He's got a kind of exciting defense over there in San Francisco. I don't know schematically what Bevell brings to the table, especially on defense, that would get me excited. So I understand why it's an interview that the Lions might like a lot, but it's not something that I would get overly excited about. But I also wouldn't really hate it either.
Yeah, I just wasn't that impressed by the offense this year. Like, I just wasn't and I think there's big questions on, we talk about how much the run first approach was on Patricia versus Bevell at the end of the day. Like, this whole idea that we were going to see the offense unchained at the end of the year, I didn't see, that much that really was like, okay, that's cool. As you say, though, they're looking at him as a leader first. Ryan, how would you kind of assess Bevell in either a leader or schematic, or even just your own excitement if the Lions would go that way? Or do you even think this is kind of a serious approach for the Lions?
I think if it comes down to 2 final candidates, say the Lions are looking at, seriously, they're looking at Darrell Bevell, and the other guy happens to be Marvin Lewis. If they go with Darrell Bevell, I'd be kind of upset about that. I would rather have Marvin Lewis come here for a variety of reasons, but the one is what Jeremy talked about. And Marvin Lewis the proof is in the pudding. That guy was able to hire staffs, successful offensive coordinators underneath him, very well-respected guy. I get it. Darrell Bevell, come on. It was almost an easy job to come in after a guy like Matt Patricia and smooth things over. He wasn't Doug Pederson. He wasn't giving out ice cream after every single film session. But, does Darrell Bevell deserve a chance somewhere eventually? Yeah, for sure. I think that with the limited amount of evidence that we got from the final 5 games of the season, maybe there's something to the idea that he was hamstrung underneath Matt Patricia. But, if you're talking about getting a guy who, if your emphasis is on a guy with experience and a guy who can lead a football team, and it comes down to Darrell Bevell or Marvin Lewis, I want to go with Marvin Lewis. And I think if a third guy happens to be like Robert Saleh, then I would want you to roll the dice on him instead of sticking with Darrell Bevell.
I get that. And to be clear earlier too, I think Darrell Bevell's in high demand for an offensive coordinator job. I don't think he'll lock up any head coaching interviews anywhere else. But if the Lions decide that Bevell's not their guy, I think he probably finds a place pretty quickly on the offensive side of the ball. There's 7 head coaching vacancies now. All of those guys are going to be looking for an offensive coordinator. I think Bevell's a well-respected guy around the league that I think can still put together. And honestly, like a team with a young quarterback, I feel like Bevell would be great for them. Given his work. I know a lot of people kind of view him as a run-first guy, but that's not necessarily how I view him. And then the other thing I wanted to say quickly, too, is I think some people have brought up the idea of maybe Bevell staying in Detroit as an offensive coordinator. Like, let's say they go out and get Ed Dodds, who's got a Seattle background. They go get Robert Saleh, who's got a Seattle background. Maybe they keep around Darrell Bevell. I would say it's possible, but unlikely. I feel like
only if the coach actually wants them on the staff.
Right.
Like, let's not do this thing where apparently we were trying to keep over Jim Bob Cooter. Like,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I guess there is overlap there, so there's a chance Saleh would like that. But based on everything that we've heard, I mean, even if you go back to the podcast we had with Matt Mayoko, he said, like, I think Mike LaFleur is his guy. He was he's at his wedding.
Yeah.
Mike LaFleur would love an opportunity like that, I think, to be an offensive coordinator and to do it against Matt LaFleur twice a week, his brother. That would be pretty interesting, a pretty unique opportunity for him. So I would assume Mike LaFleur is the guy, but I wouldn't completely rule out Darrell Bevell potentially sticking around as an offensive coordinator. But again, since he'll be in high demand, I would think as an offensive coordinator, I would say it's unlikely.
Let's get to. I want to kind of go rapid fire on a few more names here that have come up real quick. Just real like minute and a half on this one, since I know this wasn't even on our list. But the Eagles just reversed course and fired Doug Pederson, Super Bowl winning coach, and yet I've never seen people lower on a Super Bowl winning coach before. But that's what you want, folks. You want a proven winner. He's right there on the market. How would you guys feel about Doug Pederson if he interviewed with Detroit?
I think he deserves an interview. I do. I think there's a lot of dysfunction in that Eagles organization right now. You listen to some of the rumors coming out there, like some of the coaching hires and fires that they made was not necessarily coming from him. Some of the roster decisions not necessarily coming from him. I think there was a quote from Rappaport saying, like, Pederson kind of wanted out too because he was just sick of being told what to do. And so it seemed like that was an organization that maybe just wasn't a good fit, rather than not being a good coach. And obviously, the Eagles haven't been what they were since the Super Bowl, but there's a lot of mitigating factors there. He's a pretty smart offensive mind. I wouldn't mind the Lions taking a look. Do I want him to be the guy? Not necessarily, but in general, I think he was a mostly well-liked guy. Obviously, some things happened with the quarterback situation there, and again, it's unclear if that was him or general manager or ownership telling him what to do there, but I think he got a raw deal in Philly, and so I would not at all be concerned if they at least got an interview, although it does seem like the Lions are probably wrapping up things in terms of their candidates.
He shined up the turd that was Carson Wentz, and then he won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles.
Yeah, I think that says a lot right there.
The guy deserves at least an interview, and I would even say like strong consideration.
Yeah, I think he's not going to be long. Like, if he doesn't get a job this year, he won't be long from getting another head coaching job. Like, I think at some point people will realize just how bad the Eagles are right now in their dysfunction. And like, we even saw rumors about how bad it was with Carson Wentz even before this year, like about just kind of what a locker room problem he was, and people just dismissed that. And I think,
I think the hot rumor right now is Pederson to potentially the Jets because of some connections that he has with their front office. So, I mean, the Jets could do a lot worse than Doug Pederson. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a former Jets coach then, since I have him on the list here, and we'll just punch right through this one. Todd Bowles interviewed and has been interviewing with various places. Your guys' thoughts real quick.
I don't know, man. I don't see it. He got one go around, and sure, it was the Jets, and everything that happens in that franchise comes with a big old asterisk. But hard for me to overlook that. I don't necessarily see how he's earned a second shot quite yet. Good defensive mind and great defensive coordinator, but I think that's as high as he should go.
I don't have an opinion on Todd Bowles.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's doing good things again with Tampa Bay with their defense, but I mean, Tampa Bay was a loaded team.
Yeah.
But even their defense has been like up and down all season long.
It's been a little spastic. That's kind of my big worry for them going into these playoffs.
Heineke into that game, right?
Taylor Heineke.
They made him. He may get the Aaron Flynn. What's his name? Matt Flynn.
Matt Flynn. I was going to say, I even said that on Twitter. I was going to say that on Twitter. I don't know because everyone was immediately doing comps on Taylor Heineke and like, oh, he reminds me of this quarterback. I'm like, he reminds me of Matt Flynn in that he's about to get broke off.
Right. Thanks, Todd Bowles.
By the way, Matt Taylor Heineke very quickly milkshake ducked as well. If you keep your eyes open to Twitter, but let's leave that part aside. Next name I have here is God. I can't believe we've gotten this far into the podcast without talking about him. The Arthur Smith interview is apparently back on, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. There were early reports saying it might have fallen through. He's got interviews with everybody. I think he literally interviewed hours after losing in the playoffs on Sunday with, I think, the Jaguars, and he's basically got an interview set up with everyone else. And so there was some belief that maybe he'd be a little more selective and not interview some places, and I think the Lions were on the list of potential dropouts there. But it's back on. I don't know. I've been up and down on Arthur Smith all season. I kind of feel the way Ryan does. Like sometimes that offense looks really good, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there are a lot of people that like to reduce his accomplishments and say it's basically all Derrick Henry. And some weeks I'm like, no, that's being too reductive. Like look at the season Ryan Fitzpatrick is having, and look at some of the things they're doing with some of the receivers out there. But then they go and kind of they go out to a 10-0 lead on Sunday and then score 3 points the rest of the way. And so it's just like, I don't know. I'm pretty lukewarm on him. I don't know. Obviously, everyone else in the league isn't if he's getting all these interviews. So then the question becomes, why would he pick the Lions? And I'm not sure I have a good answer because I do think there are better head coaching jobs out there.
Yeah, I know you said Fitzpatrick, but you meant Ryan Tannehill.
I do. I get those mixed up all the time. I'm sorry.
It's fine. They're both.
He's having my disease right now.
They're both Ryans. Yeah. And you know what? That's just kind of the curse of the name. But I think that there is something to say if you turn Ryan Tannehill into maybe one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, because I mean, like, look at his statistics. I mean, the guy is doing a lot, and he has a ton of weapons around him. I mean, there's a reason why he's one of the best quarterbacks in play action. He has Derrick Henry, right? They have an incredible offensive line. They have A.J. Brown. They have Corey Davis. But with that being said, you still have to go out and be one of the best offenses in the league. And I think Arthur Smith, that was a really entertaining game. That might have been the most entertaining game of the entire playoff weekend was Baltimore and Tennessee, for a variety of reasons, especially because of the quarterback that came out on top. But I'm not so big on Arthur Smith. I think that it might be too quick, too soon. I would almost kind of put him in the same category as Joe Brady.
Weren't you really high on Brady earlier in the season? You weren't? Oh,
I was not.
Okay.
No,
that's fair.
I was not. So I think I kind of lumped them in like the too much, too soon category.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brady's like only 30 and has very little NFL connections. Like I wouldn't trust that as a hire. Just kind of the same way with Arthur Smith. Real quick. So we to the chagrin of a lot of people, I think Ryan here, Matt Campbell has announced he is staying at Iowa State.
Good for him. He's got a good thing. He's got a good thing going.
I think he falls into the same category as the two guys we just mentioned. Kind of young, maybe doesn't have it yet. And honestly, like maybe the Lions were interested or not. I've heard some rumors that they were, but nothing I've ever substantiated there. I mean, he could have potentially interviewed behind the scenes. We'll probably never know. But the one thing to note on him is that like this team wants someone who's got at least a legitimate amount of experience, and I don't know if Matt Campbell was ever that guy.
Yeah. The one name I wanted to get to a little bit more here, Pat Fitzgerald. I'm starting to see him. People are talking about him for an NFL jump, jumping from Northwestern to the NFL. I don't know about you guys, but I don't see it for a lot of reasons. One, like from everything I know about Pat Fitzgerald, he is an alum of NU, of Northwestern. And everything I know about him is that his ties to that place are very strong. He's probably doing his due diligence here, but I just don't see anything coming of it. I think he's going to stay at Northwestern. I know I hate to do a prediction on a recorded podcast rather than something live on radio, but I just don't think that. And I mean, I'm not even sure what Pat Fitzgerald would really bring you to the Detroit Lions if he was hired as an NFL coach. Northwestern has been decent, but I don't know if I can say what Pat Fitzgerald's strength is. I don't really see him as a massive leader type that could lead an NFL locker room.
I kind of think the opposite. I feel like he's kind of well regarded as very much a leader, and he hasn't made Northwestern like a huge team in the Big Ten or nationally.
Sure, but it's also Northwestern.
Right.
Yeah.
He's certainly turned them around. He's certainly made them added a certain level of respect. And to be clear, I think it was Aaron Wilson who reported in the same breath, about the Robert Saleh not interviewing well interview, that he does believe the Lions are connected to Pat Fitzgerald. Again, we don't know if an interview is taking place. They don't have to submit interview requests through the NFL for college coaches. So again, they're kind of shrouded in secrecy there. So we'll see. It's an interesting guy. In general, I shy away from college guys just because I think it's too much of a risk. And again, going back to the same point, Lions have said they want someone kind of established, at least at one of the positions, whether it's GM or head coach. And so I'm not sure Pat Fitzgerald is that guy, but it's an interesting option for sure.
Yeah, and especially a college guy who has no NFL ties. Pat Fitzgerald has spent his entire career in the college ranks. He's not like a Matt Rule who has at least some NFL experience under his belt.
But Ryan, 14 years in one place is impressive no matter where you
are. No, it's impressive. It's absolutely impressive. But again, I think a lot of that is because he is the homegrown son of Northwestern.
True.
Yeah, I think with the Pat Fitzgerald stuff, the reason why I would be wary of it is, again, like you said, 15 seasons at Northwestern, played linebacker for Northwestern. He's this like defensive minded head coach. And whatever, offensive minded, defensive minded. It seems like the guys that get targeted for NFL jobs that are previous college coaches are the offensive minded guys. Like as soon as almost before the ink was dry on Doug Pederson's firing, they were already like, Eagles are interested Lincoln Riley. They're interested in Lincoln Riley. And so it seems that's the way things go.
Yeah.
I'm not super intrigued by Pat Fitzgerald. There's one name that we haven't talked about yet that we got to touch on real quick.
Yeah, real quick before we go to let's get one in. Which guy?
Everybody's favorite like strength and conditioning coach, Dan Campbell.
True.
This is legitimate. Like the Lions are interviewing him.
They're interviewing him. I know. They interviewed him today, actually Monday.
Yeah. That is a wild and yet potentially exciting development if the NFL starts interviewing strength and conditioning coaches for head coaching positions. If you don't know, if you're a little new to it, or you don't know kind of the lexicon of like these kind of weirder parts of football, strength and conditioning coaches are basically psychopaths. Like they are the most giddy psychopaths you will find in your life. They just love life so much. These are the guys who are breaking bricks over their head to fire up teams in the college. If they're a college strength and conditioning coach, they're doing crazy things to fire up their teams. They're letting people smack them to break baseball bats over their backsides, or they're lifting up like cars or stuff. Like I can't imagine what they are in the NFL, but strength and conditioning coaches, you want to talk about guys who can get guys fired up, who can lead men. It has a bold strategy. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. It has the merit of never been done before, but there's something to it. I'm just saying, this isn't just a throwaway out here. Strength and conditioning coaches are incredible people persons, and they've got more than a few screws loose in their head.
Yeah, and let me be clear. I said that in jest. Like Dan Campbell was never a strength and conditioning coach, but the guy is absolutely yoked. He's huge.
Oh, okay. See, I thought he had some background as a strength and conditioning coach when you said that.
No, but he is. This is the same guy who was the tight ends coach with the Miami Dolphins in 2011, and
yeah, I remember. Yeah,
he took over for Joe. Yeah, took over for Joe Philbin. Yeah.
But he radiated all that strength and I remember now, he radiated all that strength and conditioning coach energy. I just thought he obviously must have had a background there.
Yeah. So I don't know.
He was interim head coach twice. No. I'm sorry. I'm reading his resume wrong. I seen coaching intern.
What does the name Dan Campbell, former Lions Dan Campbell, do for you, Jeremy?
A little bit. Again, I think he really fills that leadership role that we're talking about. Chris is kind of right. Like he's kind of got that like meathead mentality that people really attract to. Like he's a guy that might actually run through a brick wall before games. And
literal brick wall.
Yeah, a literal brick wall. And
with mortar, not loose brick, with mortar.
If Chris Spielman is in on these interviews,
right,
he loves Dan Campbell, right, Jeremy?
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. But he's also, he's got the title of assistant head coach in New Orleans for a reason, right? Like because he's that leader. again, I think the biggest question is what will he bring in terms of staff? The X's and O's are kind of unknown with a guy like that. But again, that's maybe not what they're necessarily looking for. So if he can come in, if he came in, nailed the interview, had some really good, potential coordinators that he listed for the Lions that he thinks he can bring in, I would say he's got a chance for the job. He's kind of a late arrival here in terms of his interview, but I think he's not someone you should count out completely.
Yeah, the only knock I have on him is his resume just doesn't look as impressive as maybe some of these other guys that are out there. He's been an assistant head coach. He's been interim, but he has no coordinator role. He's just been a position coach his entire life, just for tight ends. But and he only really has I guess if he was like a tight ends coach in Miami in 11, he would have had he's got close to 9 years coaching experience. But again, none of that is as like a coordinator or a higher role aside from assistant head coach.
Right. Which is why those coordinator hires are going to be crucial.
Crucial, yes. He might need some help there with that, but I mean, I could see it. I don't think it's the first choice. I think if you're down to Dan Campbell, you've swung and missed on quite a few other guys we've talked about, but I'm not opposed to trying it out.
I think that much would be clear. If the Lions end up hiring Dan Campbell, they really they missed on a lot of guys.
They're batting below the Mendoza line when they're like, you know what, I'm just going to go for Dan Campbell.
Either that or Chris Spielman has way more pull than we ever were led to believe.
That's a terrifying possibility. That Chris Spielman is the shadow president. All right, let's take a quick break here. I got a couple more notes to go through here, and I think I want to kind of Lions fan corner, talk a little bit about the NFL playoffs that are happening right now, just from us as Lions fans watching some of it, and also probably start to dip our toes into what the future might hold for the draft. But I don't know if I really want to talk to him. I see Jeremy already kind of reacting poorly to that, so maybe not. I'm sorry. We're doing production notes on the air, so let's close it here. We'll take a quick break, be right back. More on the Pride of Detroit POD cast.
All right, let me catch up on some alerts here.
Yeah, I'm just clearing my stopwatch since we went 25 minutes there, so we'll make this last segment kind of short.
Right at the beginning of the segment, Lefty Detroit dropped 5 gifted subs to the channel. Appreciate you. And then we got
we had a hype train going.
We got a bunch of bits after that. Nick the Greek with 100, then Nick Slick with 100, Uncle Indigo with 60, Conrad with 25, Nick the Greek with 100, Team Ramrod with the follow. Appreciate. Always like a good Super Troopers reference. Then Nick the Greek dropped 3 more bits. Joshua Mercer just dropped 3 more bits. Nick the Greek
was a request for pet cameos, I think.
Oh, there was, wasn't there?
Everyone's pet twice, so
I'll bring Zazu in here.
Ruby's sleeping over there. I don't know if I can get him up. He just ate. The problem is that I feed Ruby before we do these podcasts, so he doesn't jump up and bug me while I'm trying to do it. But the problem then is that once he's eaten, he immediately goes and takes a nap, like a good fat boy.
He's mildly afraid of me right now.
He should be.
Oh, look at this ferocious beast.
Give him the glasses.
Zazu, you want some glasses? You don't want to face my tag team partner over here in the ring, I can tell you.
Oh my God, that might be your new avatar. I demand that be your new avatar on Slack.
You and me, brother, we're going to take over the tag team championship of the world.
Shit.
You can't stop us, Hulk Hogan. You can't stop us, other guy that I can't name, Bret Hart, I guess. He's a wrestler.
I need to... Both of you look at the camera. No.
You can
Get the glasses back on.
Hold on. He doesn't like them. Hold on.
Can I put those snacks?
It's okay. It's okay. No, I don't think it's that.
No. The mega powers, brother.
Come on, Mike. I don't want to come yak you out there. Come on.
There you go, buddy. Hair in the mouth. I don't know where this came from. It's just hair. All right, I'm getting these. Brian, hold on 1 second.
Here, buddy.
So these came in the box as well. I don't know what they're for. Ryan, do you know what these little this little yellow fabric is supposed to be for?
That should go around your head, brother.
Here's Ruby.
Like another bandana type thing?
I think. Oh no, you already have a bandana.
Yeah, I already have the bandana. What's this?
Then probably around your waist.
Or maybe your hand. Does he wrap his hands?
No, I don't know.
I know he does this a lot. Ooh.
He smells. I gotta get you a bath at some point, buddy. Probably too big to be cleaning yourself all the way through.
Owen Hart is the one. Yeah, I was kind of watching when that happened.
We're talking about Owen Hart's death right now.
Sorry, that's what they're talking about in the chat. I'm sorry.
Would you rather talk about Chris Benoit?
Okay, no. Is Goose over there, Ryan, or no?
No, he is unfortunately not.
Okay.
But I did get to walk him for like the first time in 5 months the other day. That was cool.
Nice.
Stop. Go away. Let's see. Anything else in the chat? If Zach Wilson is at 7, you take him. Every other quarterback isn't worth it, except Lawrence. But there's no way he lives.
God, I'm sorry. I don't buy into the Wilson hype. I will buy into. Someone's been trying to sell me on the North Dakota State quarterback who only played like one game this year.
Trey Lance.
Yeah, I thought that was his name. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't gonna do something stupid there.
Brother, you look like a bad version of Rick James right now. And then someone called me. Wait, I need to find it.
Oh yeah, Josh, we were talking about during with Trey Lance.
He called me the white booty tang.
Jesus Christ.
What a tie. My Davies.
What a tie.
Get down.
Yeah, sorry, Josh. Like after a weekend of work, like my brain is just mush. I'm sorry. The kind of abuse I put my brain through to do my weekend shifts. I also still really like the idea of Mac Jones as kind of like a second round pick if you can pull it off. If he doesn't like fall to like the Patriots or someone.
I don't know. For some reason, I don't know.
I guess
Alabama quarterbacks.
I know. I think Mac might actually have legit talent there and not just like. I mean, shit. People talk themselves into Tua.
Tua, you throwing him under the bus? Is he a bust already?
No, I'm already hearing some people trying to be like, "Oh, the Miami has the 3rd overall pick because of Houston. Oh, what if they go get another quarterback?" Just stop.
You never know. There's this. I feel like there's this ongoing or this like up and coming theory that if you have a top 3 pick, you almost have to spend it on a quarterback.
Yeah, I just think that if you draft another guy, you're already cutting bait on Tua, and that's a disaster. Craig apparently has crashed, so give me a second. Wait for him to come back. I'll try to reconnect him. Yep, there we go. Let me try.
Thank you, Left Wing Loke 19. I guess I appreciate that. You call us irritating, but you say you really enjoy the show. So I'll take that. I guess I'll take that. What do you guys think, Detroit? Who do you think the guys will use their franchise tag on? Galladay in trade? No, I think they'd probably just use it on Galladay. Period. Keep him. He says he wants to be here. He probably won't love being on the franchise tag, but...
Sorry, I'm trying to get Craig back in here.
He's being...
Now recording.
There we go. Probably means I'm going to have to go to G-Arc. Or, okay.
Craig, why are you such a jerk?
You better come back in here, Craig.
Yeah, I'm going to reload both just because I'm kind of now worried. G-Arc kind of scuffing a bit, so give me 1 second. Okay. At least this happened between segments.
True. Oh boy. He don't want to stay in here.
Now recording.
There we go.
You gonna stay in there this time, buddy?
We'll see. That sounded a little scuffed, didn't it?
It did a little bit.
Well, GR should be stable at least.
That's good.
Yeah. And if,
Now
Jesus.
recording.
You gonna make up your mind?
All right, I think we should maybe just give up on Craig.
Yeah, let's use that just in case, maybe disable alerts for a little bit for this final segment, just in case I have to pull from Twitch.
Oh, you want me to turn off alerts? I can turn off alerts.
Yeah, because I'll have to re-record manually from Twitch
Right,
if
chat.
That's the case.
Just so you know, chat and YouTube, if you give any donations or follow or anything of that, it's not going to show up. I will thank you after the segment is over.
You can just mute them if you. I wish there was a way to just mute them, but yeah,
it's fine. They'll be okay.
Yeah,
you'll be okay. Chat, you're going to be okay.
What's the matter, Ruby? He's running around. All right, let me see what we got from chat here. Craig, come back. Apparently your boy Eric Schlitt should be floated as a general manager. Mac is a statue. I'd prefer someone who can move. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, it feels like kind of that era is like you need a mobile quarterback now, but
The tangy barbecue flavor of a Slim Jim tastes like a Slim Jim.
why are you getting something other than the original flavor for Slim Jim?
I got one of each. I was interested in seeing if this tasted
really?
any different, and it didn't.
You're going to eat both of those long ass sticks of Slim Jim.
No. Zazu ate about 3/4 of the other one.
Jesus Christ. He's going to get diarrhea.
Probably. I will too.
Diarrhea for everyone.
You better believe I'm gonna get diarrhea and I'm gonna enjoy it.
Someone clip that.
I expect there to be about 20 different clips from today. And if there isn't, shame on you guys.
All right. I'm going to boot this back up. I'm going to give this like 10, 15 minutes at most.
Yeah, I mean, we can fly through this. I think.
Yeah, I want this to be a little looser, but I know we haven't gotten to Jeff Ireland yet, and I want to talk him. So
I don't have much to say about them, but
okay, then let's just throw it out. Then let's just have this a fun, lighthearted segment at the end. Was hoping to get this kind of somewhere in the middle, but you know, we kind of got pushed through, which is a good thing. We had enough meat on the bone for some of these other names, but I do want to, yeah. What's the matter, Ryan?
I've had 2 pieces of deli turkey and a cup of coffee today. I am a hungry boy.
you know what you need?
Yeah, I haven't eaten yet either.
You know what you need?
I'm about to. What?
You need to snap into a Slim Jim, brother. Oh yeah.
I hate all of you. I just do. All right, let's do this.
No. Go away. You don't get Slim Jims anymore. You're done.
Wrapping up with the Pride of Detroit POD cast here on Monday. You'll be receiving this on a Tuesday. And we're recording this here right before the national title game, which is going to happen here pretty soon between Ohio State and Alabama. But we just got done with a weekend of football, not involving the Lions, unfortunately. But I do want to, before we move away and, you know, think about Lions stuff again, I do want to take a bit to unwind, as if we haven't already, with Jeremy in a Macho Man Randy Savage costume.
I think you
munching
mean
on Slim
Macho
Jims.
Man Randy Savage in the Jeremy Reisman costume, brother.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool. Can we talk about the Bears?
Sure.
Please, can we talk about the Bears?
Can we talk about the Nickelodeon broadcast too?
Yes, let's do, because my entire weekend was filled with people trying to reference Nickelodeon shows from their youth, which kind of dated a lot of people, but a lot of references to Salute My Shorts. A lot of I saw they had the slime cannons. I don't know much about Nick.
The slime cannons were the best part, simply because of the touchdown that happened at the end of the game from Trubisky to Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham caught the ball and ran off the field and did not get slime cannoned. And then it led to Mitch Trubisky being the NVP.
The NVP.
The Nickelodeon Most Valuable Player, which is now also on his Pro Football Reference page, which is amazing.
Oh, it's so incredible. There was somebody who tweeted out, like, there's levels to this, and it was Patrick Mahomes with the Super Bowl trophy, and was it Deshaun Watson with the national championship trophy, and then Mitch Trubisky with the MVP.
So I have mixed emotions about this for various reasons, and I'm going to laugh about the Bears very soon. But one, I saw way too many adults tuning into the Nick broadcast, which leads me to believe once again we're still all in Arrested Development. Yes, I expect it out of you too. Please put your hands out. I expect it out of you too. But like I saw The Ringer and PFF both tuned in for this thing, and it's like, all right, I know the algorithm is flipped for you guys, but this is a little too much. I think there were more adults watching than kids at the end of the day.
Probably.
Which brings us my next point is, like, if this is the NFL clearly is doing this game on Nick for outreach to youth, because obviously probably the consequences of CTE and other sports and just in general schools cutting budgets. They're cutting football programs. So like they're trying to do this as youth outreach to get some kids back in the game. But as I was talking about with my dear friend Rob Parker over the phone, youth participation is going to drop to 10% in the next 12 years because they had to watch Mitch Trubisky and the Chicago Bears try to play football. And they think that's what football is. Then I want no part. My God, and he gets the MVP for it.
Well,
come on.
Nickelodeon learned a quick lesson there that I think we all learned back in 2004-ish, which is don't ever put anything serious up for an online vote. Otherwise, you're going to get in trouble. Like, I don't know how they're that far back on the memo there, but yeah, I mean, it was probably the worst game of the weekend. There was a fight. There was an F-bomb dropped on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, an F-bomb dropped, which, by the way, I'm available for hire to fix your technical issues there. Have a guy around for the dump button. I know you kind of gave this to Ian Eagle's son for the broadcast, but then for the guy handing out the NVP, should we maybe know his name? Mick Trubisky?
I mean, that just made that all the more perfect. It wasn't. Like, I think most people that tuned in found it very entertaining. And we also have to give mad props to Nate Burleson, who I think, could you have found a better person in that role that, like, one will give you actual cool football knowledge and will be able to kind of relate to young people and have a youthful energy that makes people excited to watch even if they are young. Again, I'm with you. I think there was probably more adults watching than there were kids, but a couple of people tweeted at me and was like saying, whoa, that slime can was the coolest thing ever. My kids were going nuts. And so I think ultimately it was successful, even if it was maybe the worst game of the week they could have picked.
Ryan, real quick for you, because we've gone 5 minutes. I haven't even laughed at the Bears yet.
Okay, we can laugh at the Bears after I can say what the worst part of the broadcast was.
Please do.
It was undoubtedly young Sheldon explaining football rules.
Yep, they almost lost me there.
If any of you were like me too, like I couldn't find my remote, so strategically Nickelodeon put an episode of Young Sheldon on right afterwards, and it was a football episode. And I just real quick synopsis of the episode.
I didn't even know Nick had Young Sheldon.
They do, because like connection with CBS or Viacom or whatever. Yeah. But the the plot of the episode was that Young Sheldon's dad is the football coach, and Young Sheldon, Jeremy's gonna agree with Young Sheldon.
I already know what you're talking. I saw a clip.
Jesus,
you saw a clip of him. So he said that you shouldn't always punt on fourth down. That it's a silly thing to do.
Yeah,
really.
And that was like the basis of the episode. And his grandma had a gambling problem, so she was trying to get the scoop from Young Sheldon about the lines for the week. It was awful.
It was very much trying to relate to this podcast. It's got the gambling aspect. It's got the team never punt guy. I don't know what was in it for Chris. Chris's team never punt too, right?
There was a Lane Kiffin.
I have the hashtag. I have the hashtag team never punt.
Well, Young Sheldon is hashtag team never punt.
Well, young Sheldon apparently trying to get into the NFL young and early, which would make him a Lane Kiffin, I guess.
Oh no! Oh no!
And son of a coach.
Oh no!
No, I don't know. It felt weird. This game was on 3 different places. I was watching more on Prime just because I was listening to like Joy Taylor and Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah. They've been doing some great the Move the Sticks guys. They've been basically doing really good kind of scout film during some of these games where they get on Prime. So those are cool. But I mean, before this game, we were all talking, the Bears people and national NFL people were talking about, oh, what a great job it is. Mitch Trubisky's really turned around, and maybe they should extend him and, keep him there. I hope they do. I really hope they do, so he can have more playoff games like this fucking abomination. What are you watching? This team got crushed. Screw the Bears. This you said this was the worst game of the weekend, but it brought me the most joy because I'm coming to the realization I love seeing the Bears get crushed. I have Bears friends, and yet and they ask me all the time. It's like, I don't hate the Lions nearly as much as you hate the Bears, and I'm like, well, that's the problem right there. I really want to hate, and every year passes by, Ryan, where we own the Bears. I yearn for that, and I just want to see the Bears crushed into dust. And this is the one thing I will say as a fan and not as someone trying to be, a neutral commentary. I want to see the Bears crushed.
I am ready to make a bold proclamation and prediction. We will reclaim the hashtag this upcoming season. 2 wins. 2 wins. A clean sweep of those dirty ass Bears. Well, but here's like the good thing though. Here's the good thing with the Bears making the playoffs. More Matt Nagy. Like, that's cool.
Probably, yeah.
Or Psycho Matt.
It was a really weird, like, cyclical season for the Bears because they got off to that hot start, and everyone's like, they're garbage. This is not going to last. They're going to collapse. They're going to be horrible. Yes, you, Ryan, but pretty much everyone else, too, really, outside of Chicago. Then they collapsed.
Then the collapse happened.
And then they came back, and they won, they went on a fairly good streak there at the end of the season.
Against really bad teams.
Well, yes.
I'm sorry, Texans, Vikings, Jags.
Right. And most people, again, were like, this team's garbage. They're like, even if they make the playoffs, which they backed into because they got creamed by the Packers in week 17, everyone's like, they don't got a shot. They don't got a shot. And people were just like, I don't know, Mitch Trubisky, his stats look better in the past month. And the offense, we're starting to run the ball. And it's just like, guys, relax. Your offense sucks. We've
seen this before.
We all know your offense sucks. I mean, just wait until you have to face even an okay, and the Saints have a good defense. I wouldn't call it okay.
They have a good defense,
but not a great defense. There's at least 10 teams with better defenses, and they got.
I fully expect them to get spanked out of the building by Tampa Bay next week.
We'll see.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't trust Drew Brees, and I know the Bucs have been very erratic with their own play right now, but I think they're more put together than the Saints. I think it's going to be probably. I'm going to regret this on a recorded podcast, but I've been here before that I think I said the NFC Championship is going to be Packers Bucs.
Well, Chris, if you were so upset about how the Bears Saints game was on a bunch of different telecasts, are you going to watch Bucs Saints on One American News Network?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be shocked that network's still on the air in a little bit, given what's been going on in this country. But
Tom Brady and Drew Brees, that's fodder for that.
Oh boy!
But
by the way, real quick, Sean Payton did get slimed, so I'll give him that. He's a man of his word.
True.
He did get slimed, and he got slimed in a pair of Jordans, which I thought was just foolish. But the stuff with the Bears is really interesting to me because where do they go as a football team from here?
I don't know, man. Like they've got contracts that are starting to bloat a little bit, and I don't know what they're going to do with their defense. Their offense looks atrocious. Like we talked about it all years. Every time we previewed them, it's like, okay, cool. It's you got even if you trust Mitch Trubisky, who the hell is he throwing this ball to?
Well, the problem is that the Bears are going to lose the best player on their offense, Allen Robinson, who I saw somebody on Twitter was like, here is Allen Robinson's career targets and which quarterbacks they came from. And holy shit, that guy has had some ridiculously bad quarterbacks throw him the football over his career. So, I mean, I think for a team that's losing its best offensive weapon, don't know what they're doing at the quarterback position.
Don't know what they're doing at running. Montgomery's become a factor for.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a team that their offseason is going to really dictate whether or not they kind of tread water or they regress to maybe the bottom of the NFC North.
And they're picking 20th in the draft too. They're not getting a lot of help.
I think they're just going to do what they always do, and that's just get a mediocre to bad quarterback and hope their defense and special teams can carry them to the playoffs again.
Yeah. The other point from the playoffs from this weekend, and maybe this is kind of wish fulfillment, like, I don't know. We saw two playoff suffering teams in the Bills and the Browns both advance. By the way, the most insane game for the Browns. I left to get pizza when it was 7-0, and I came back and they had put 28 on the Steelers. Like, insane, man. And then without Kevin Stefanski coaching them, like, that's the dream. That's the dream right there. If you're a Lions fan, you watch that Browns game, it's like, that's how you want to have your first playoff win in forever. Right?
Maybe though, because that game got tight in the third quarter and at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And I saw every single Lions fans out there going like, this is the Lions. Like, I would be crapping my pants right now if I was Lions. This would be the worst experience ever for the Lions because you're just so sure that they were going to go and lose that game. And I'm sure a lot of Browns fans felt that way too.
I wasn't though, because they were playing against Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, good riddance to that guy. Hopefully,
yeah, 4 interceptions, man, and he could have had. There was a lot more tip balls. They could have been a lot worse.
Hey, where do you think Ben Roethlisberger is going?
Nowhere. Home.
He's done.
He's done. Like he will retire. He's going to walk away from $41 million.
Maybe. I don't know.
Here's the thing: is like.
No. Ben Roethlisberger. No. Ben Roethlisberger is not going to retire. He is not going to retire. You don't walk away from $41 million. If the Steelers have to cut him, he's $22 million in dead cap. The Steelers are screwed.
Sure, but here's the thing: is like you can't draft if you're the Steelers, you can't draft and put him behind Roethlisberger to learn, because we've seen what happened when you put Roethlisberger in the teaching veteran position. He gets surly, he mopes, he whines, he talks to someone about quitting, and when you start to play that other quarterback, he raises hell. Like he's a cancer.
Well, that was when they still thought that Ben Roethlisberger was something worthwhile to keep around, but like now he doesn't really get a choice. And I mean, I think at this point, you like. If I'm Ben Roethlisberger, I'm not walking away from $41 million. There's no way. So I'm going to play football next year. And if the Steelers do draft a quarterback or they bring somebody else in, I'm going to be so happy just sitting on the bench. Whatever. I mean, let him be a problem. You know, Mike Tomlin will deal with it.
All right. I don't think he's dealt with it pretty well in the past, but you know, it's as it is. Bills though, I mean, just, I don't know. Talk about another butt clencher there, Jeremy. Watching the Colts get back in that game. Yeah, I guess that's what it's going to be for the Lions to make the playoffs. It's going to be, hey, this is really cool, but then, you know, if we get out to a lead, it's just going to be holding on to your guts the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the Bills are like almost the consensus darling of the playoffs right now. Right? Like they're fun to watch. Yeah. They're a team that hasn't been there before. I think every neutral party is pulling for the Bills right now, and I 100% include myself in that because, I don't like to be wrong a lot, but I was completely wrong about Josh Allen, along with like 90%, I think, of the population.
Yeah, the rest of draft Twitter, you need to own this error. Yeah. Stop telling on yourselves. Allen is good. You were wrong. It's okay to be wrong, but please stop weaving these lies to yourself.
But yeah,
please.
It's an extremely fun team to watch. I think I'm going to be pulling for them the rest of the way.
That's a rough one. Chiefs or Bills? I mean,
Chiefs won it last year. It's Bills' turn. Let's go.
I want Mahomes to keep growing great. What do you think, Ryan? You've been on the Mahomes wagon.
Well, hold on. The Bills play the Ravens.
Yeah, but I'm saying I think we're going to see Bills Chiefs in the AFC Championship.
Oh, okay. So you're overlooking Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
That's your first mistake.
100% of the time, I will overlook Lamar Jackson this year.
Yeah. So the most interesting thing that came out of that game, though, was the initial spread on Ravens Bills opened up at, I think, 3.5. It's moved all the way down to 1. Like, that game is as close to a pick 'em as I think is going to get. And to talk about the other interesting betting line from the weekend, I think Saints Bears got all the way up to 10.5 for the Saints.
Yes. Yeah. It was Saints -10, I think.
Yeah, it was huge. But no, Baltimore Ravens versus Kansas City Chiefs. That's what I want to see for an AFC championship. Come on, that would be awesome. Mahomes versus Jackson. I would rather see that than
It's not even
Mahomes
close.
versus Allen.
Jackson will get laughed out of the building.
Agreed.
Oh, bollocks.
Well, hey, let us know. For Lions fans listening at home, let us know. Because I know some Lions fans just want to check out and go through things. But, I mean, man, it's fun to watch the playoffs. And sometimes when you don't have a rooting interest in there, it's fun to just kick back and enjoy Schadenfreude like we had with the Bears.
I need to real quickly just tell everybody it's super unoriginal to respond to anything that I quote tweet with Lamar Jackson and I say that he's QB1 to respond to it and say he's RB1. Like, that is the most reductive, dumb take that anybody can ever have. And I don't understand why. I really don't understand why Lamar Jackson being a quarterback causes so many people to get so upset. Like, calling Lamar Jackson a quarterback makes so many people so upset. And this is a thing that this is a hill I will gladly die on. I will take 1,000 swords. That why is it a bad thing that your quarterback can advance the ball down the field? In any way, shape, or form. Why is it a bad thing? I don't understand why it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like that run he had, that touchdown run was one of the best runs that I've seen maybe ever. It was insane.
Vic-esque, for sure. The way, just his speed, it was incredible. Alex Reno in the chat says, only acceptable if you call Mitch a running back. That's true.
Mick. He's now Mick.
Oh, yeah, he's Mick. He's Mick's
Mick Trubisky. Trubisky. We're gonna pull that on our Bears friends when they come on to the podcast here this time in the summer. Real quick on the way out, I am going to read on the podcast a message from our Twitch chat from How Am I Not Myself. How disappointed do the Steelers have to be? Start 11-0, then finish 12-4 and a first round exit. I don't know how disappointed the Steelers have to be with that. But I will say, if that happened with the Lions, I think we would all, like, everyone would be screaming for blood, right?
Probably. I mean, if it were to happen next year, no, because we
no. But I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
you've had if this let's say this happened in the middle of I don't know the Jim Caldwell years.
But don't you think like the Steelers would be screaming even louder? I'm starting to see people question Mike Tomlin.
No, I agree. No. That's the point I'm trying to make is like, because I think some people will be like, for the Steelers, oh, it's fine. You'll be back here again. Like, I don't know, man. That was a brutal collapse. That was an absolutely epic, brutal collapse. To like, you start 11-0. People are wondering if they're going to go undefeated. Then you lose to Washington. You lose to the Bengals. And then guess what? You lose 2 weeks in a row to the Browns. And you get bounced out of the playoffs after allowing 28 unanswered points in the first half. Nothing else to, I'm sorry, in the first quarter, I should say. I said first half. Nothing else to say here. I think we're going to wrap it up here. I know we've got more work to do. I think this time next week, Jeremy will probably be, hopefully we'll see some news with the Lions. It's kind of getting tiring to just kind of sit here in a holding pattern. Watching them do interviews.
If I had to make a guess, I would say GM interview either comes late this week or early next week, and then head coaching comes shortly thereafter. So if not next week on the podcast, I think the week after we'll actually have a candidate that is no longer a candidate but a hire, and I think that's when the offseason fun's going to really start.
Yeah, and I think a lot of other teams are going to start moving really fast too. So we're going to wrap it up here. Please download the podcast on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Get it where you can. Catch the replays live. Catch the replays on YouTube and Twitch. Subscribe to either one of those and get alert and turn on your notifications to get alerts when we go live, because we do this all live with some talk with you guys in between segments. on those things. And yes, you can watch Jeremy put on the Macho Man costume. I can't guarantee he'll do it next week. For me, for Ryan, for Jeremy, this has been PODcast, and we are going to see you Starside.
Oh, yeah.
Bene, molto bene. All right, Jarek, get the fuck out of here, you stupid robot. We'll play around with chat a little bit before we leave here. And Jeremy wants to get that all off now.
I must shower. I must eat. I must watch national championship game. Before I leave, who do you guys have tonight? Or at least who are you rooting for?
I don't want to root for either of these teams, if we're being honest.
Okay, so root for a tie.
Like I know that people are saying like it's cool to watch Ohio State lose, but that would indicate I have to root for Alabama, and I don't want. Alabama is just a Death Star. I hate it. I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm just kind of rooting for just pain.
Pootie Tang, who you got?
Bama, come on. I can't.
A lot of our chat apparently saying that they're rooting for the Big Ten, thus Ohio State, but that's I can't. You can't play that game. You can't play the SEC's game where you're rooting for conference. Come on.
I'm rooting for the under, baby.
I got to talk to you after Ryan about getting a scheduled interview in for our next First Bite. Potentially tomorrow, chat. Potentially.
Mm.
Oh, you better look out. You better turn those notifications on.
That's all.
Let's see. I should say Grad. I got to root against. Yeah, that's the other thing. If you're Sparty, you're probably rooting for or against Saban, depending how you feel on how he left.
Interviewed Lex Lumpkin. That's one of the announcers of the Nickelodeon thing, right? Lex Lumpkin.
Yeah, that was the kid. His interview with Cam Jordan was so funny too. He was like, "Oh, dude, you were great. You were great out there, man."
Interview Lex. He gets the GM job. He's like, "I intend on keeping Matthew Sturford, Matthew Sturfry. He's the best quarterback in the league."
Matthew Sturfry. Marvin Sturfry.
Quit talking about food. I'm so hungry.
Colts writer interview about Dodds tomorrow? ? Maybe.
I said this at the beginning of December, and I'll leave I'll leave you all with this. I said that he was going to be the most sought after candidate, and I didn't think that the Lions really had a chance at getting him. And the fact that the Lions had an interview with him is maybe the most exciting development of the offseason for me so far for the Lions. Like, that's how, like, I mean, he strikes the balance, I think, of everything you want, like director of pro scouting, director of college scouting, did it with Seattle when they, created the Legion of Boom and drafted Russell Wilson. And then now he's been the assistant general manager to Ballard in Indianapolis while they have basically nailed every single decision that they've made there lately. I mean, I think that an Ed Dodds hire and a Robert Saleh hire would be, like you said, Jeremy, on the podcast, like the closest thing that you could hit to a home run this offseason.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, real quick before we get out of here, want to do is it people going to be around do a national championship watch party on our Discord?
Yeah, if you guys want to, that's a good thing to promote. Our Discord channel, ! Discord here if you're in YouTube or Twitch chat. Bye, Ryan.
Bye, Ryan. I think we made him hungry with the stir fry.
If you haven't been there before, it's a little online. I don't know what you call it. Like
it's a chat
room. A chat room.
It's chat and voice chat. So yeah. I am in the process of overhauling the channels. We're going to try to get them a little more set up for the off season, set some rules for everything. But if you do have a mic and want to just want to kind of watch with people, I'm not going to say whether or not you can watch the game there or not, because that would be, bad of me to say that. But yeah, Jeremy's winking. Join us in Open Lions Hangout. As soon as this is done, I'm going to go up there and I'll probably go, I'll step away once it's all situated. But people want to join right now in Open Lions Hangout. as soon as we're done recording here and I've had a powwow with Jeremy, I'm going to go up there. And if you want to join at any point, ask me about the Lions, ask me about whatever, or just drop it in the text chats. I might close up if there's not a lot of people, just because I've got other stuff I want to use that monitor for. But by all means, come hang out. We'll talk about the national championship going on tonight. And
really quick, this is what Discord looks like. You just you hit on the link that we have in chat. It'll bring you to the Pride of Detroit Discord. There's a bunch of text channels here where we can just chat about anything, and then the voice channels are down here. You can see right here we're in our own recording booth, but there's going to be an open lines hangout. That's where a bunch of people are going to be there talking about the national championship game, maybe talking some draft stuff, all that sort of stuff. So if you want to go in there, you need a community to watch the game with. That's what I would recommend. !Discord again if you need that link again. But until then, I think we're
yeah, I
good
know
to go.
it's kind of dropped off a bit. I know early in the season we were all in there watching Thursday night football, watching Lions games, but if you want to join in, by all means, come hang out. I'll be there for at least a little bit of this game. I do want to play some video games since it's my first day off and forever. But yeah.
All right. For the people here on Twitch, I'm going to send you elsewhere. We're going to go over to Mrs. Ruby. She's a cooking stream.
What's she cooking? What's she cooking now?
I think she was cooking something from Friends or something, like some
I'm gonna
fictional
look it up right
thing.
Now. Friends trifle.
A trifle? A trifle. I don't know what that is. I'm not a huge Friends fan.
Well, apparently you're pronouncing it better than I.
Well, yeah, because I heard her plans about it. But anyways, really fun stream. Really kind, funny family there. And if you like cooking streams, then, or maybe if you've never even seen a cooking stream, this will be your first time to check it out. But she's a good friend of ours, so go over there, have a blast. Again, we might have a podcast for you tomorrow. Keep an eye out on that. Make sure you're followed both on YouTube and Twitch so that you get notifications when we go live. Spoiler, yes, it is an Ed Dodds interview I'm trying to line up. We'll see if it works. But until then, go enjoy Mrs. Ruby's stream, and we will see you guys soon. Goodbye. Let me end the stream in 3, 2, 1. Bye.